right, we're going to do a very quick introduction to what we call the quadratic formula. And some of you have watched the video where we derived the quadratic formula, but some of you hadn't. So let's do a quick introduction as far as what that means. Quadratic formula is this: x equals opposite b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. And this process, this formula, the quadratic formula, lets us solve quadratics by simply plugging numbers into a formula. It's a pretty simple process. So here's our first quadratic. X squared equals 11x minus 10. Well, the first thing you know about the quadratic formula is it needs to be in standard form. So we're going to need to move this 10 back over to the other side of the equal sign in order to use the quadratic formula. So once we do that, we're going to have x squared minus 11x plus 10 equals 0. Now, once we have it in standard form, at least while you're learning, it's a good idea to actually write down the values for a, b, and c. So the a is the coefficient of the x squared term. It's equal to 1 in this example. The b is the coefficient of the x term. It's equal to negative 11 in this problem. And the c is the constant term. In this problem, it's equal to 10. Once you've made that determination, then it's simply a matter of plugging those numbers into the quadratic formula. Once you have simplified them, you'll then have your solutions to your quadratic. So if we come back and start plugging these numbers into our quadratic formula, our first term is opposite b, so negative 11 plus or minus the square root of b squared, so negative 11 squared, minus 4ac, so minus 4 times 1 times 10, all underneath the radical sign. And all of this is over the value of 2 times a, so in this case 2 times 1. Once you've substituted all that in, it's simply a matter of simplifying your quadratic. So we get 11 plus or minus the square root of negative 11 squared. Notice that that whole term is being squared. It is negative 11 times negative 11. That gives us a positive 121 minus 4 times 1 times 10, 40 over 2. Notice the 2 is not under the radical, but it is underneath of the fraction. And the 11 is on top of the fraction. So now we've got, if we simplify 121 minus 40, we get 11 plus or minus the square root of 81 over 2. Well, what's the square root of 81? The square root of 81 is 9. 11 plus or minus 9 over 2. Well, at that point, you've got two different possibilities. Either we have 11 plus 9 over 2, which is 20 over 2, or 10, which gives us an x-intercept of 10, 0, or we have 11 minus 9 over 2, which gives us 2 over 2, or 1. So we have an x-intercept of 1, 0. That's how we use our quadratic formula, by simply plugging in those values a, b, and c into the quadratic formula and then solving for the values of x.